On this next segment, I want to talk to you about two other issues on the IVLOC that give us plenty of trouble, and one's just low pressure. And I've got the pressure gauge plugged in there, and it can help us diagnose issues with the IVLOC and the clutch control. So anyhow, and of course you'll get a code for low pressure if you do have low pressure. And of course one of the biggest causes that we have for low pressure on this system is just getting air into the system. And there's a real simple way to check for air, and the way to do that is to take the dipstick here, and we'll pull the dipstick out like that. Another indication would be a lot of foam bubbles on the bottom of the dipstick would indicate that after it had been running that it had air in the system. But so if air gets into the system, it gets in on the suction line, goes through the pump and comes back to the gear case, and of course the air is extracted inside the gear case. Well, there's only one place the air can get out, and that's through that dipstick. This is a breather for the gear case right there. So air's coming out of there, but you can pull the dipstick out and put your hand right over the top of it like this and just wait a little bit, and you'll feel it build pressure. And don't let it build too much pressure that it'll blow a seal out, but you can feel it build pressure. And so if you've always got air coming out of here, there's a good chance that you're getting air into the system. The most likely cause is this suction line right here. And right down here on the inside, we've got a big Pioneer coupler that goes down to the bottom. And that O-ring there, it will get flat, and it'll let air into the system. The hose will also sometime if the hoses get really bad and cracked. If you see the hose kind of oily looking or something like that, it's probably leaking because it's a suction. This is on the suction side. Replace the O-ring, match an O-ring up to it. If you don't have an O-ring, sometimes you can just smear a little grease in it, put it back together, and it'll, you know, as a Band-Aid, it'll work for a little bit, but you can do that also to check for air. All right, we're going to cover a few other things here, common issues with the IVLOC not working right, and I want to cover a couple fuses and solenoids that give us plenty of trouble on these machines. And first of all, the first symptom I want to talk about is the feed rolls won't run. Okay, and you'll get a code for that too, feed roll speed not reached, or it'll say the feed roll speed sensor's failed, which it probably hasn't. The most common issue with that is the Y5 solenoid. Okay, so here's the symptoms. The header will back up, the header will go forward just fine. The feed rolls will back up, but when they go forward, they don't run up to speed. And they'll if you're on a short length of cut, they'll actually run backwards. If you're on a long length of cut, they'll run forward, but they'll run very slow forward. And of course, you'll have that code too. There's most likely cause is a Y5 solenoid. And then I want you to also check fuse 3F14. That's a fuse that controls that solenoid. And it's usually the solenoids that are on all day long when we're running in a forward cutting crop that give us the biggest issue. And the solenoid typically, sometimes they'll go open, but most often they'll short out and then consequently blow the fuse. So change the fuse. If the fuse is burnt, change the fuse, try it. If it blows it again, then we're going to have to replace the solenoid. Okay? All right. The other issue I have is the header won't run and the feed rolls will, but they won't back up. So the feed rolls will run forward, they won't back up, and the header won't run either direction. Okay? There's one fuse that controls both header fast and slow, and also the reverse brake inside the gear case. And that fuse is 2F5. 2F5. And if that fuse is burnt, there's probably another solenoid. Once again, either header fast, slow, or reverse. So what we'll do is we'll put a new fuse in, and we'll start it up and we'll try it. And we'll try it in a different gear. Either if you were in fast, shift it to slow, try it and see if it blows the fuse again, and we can determine which solenoid is shorted out that's causing your problem with the header drive.